Okay. Suppose I should do another update video. It's been a couple of days, I feel like, and I haven't really been in cell phone range for a lot of it until probably yesterday. What has happened since the last update? Well, we've seen a lot of grizzly bears and black bears, porcupines, starlings that keep flying in front of our cars, which I find annoying. There, however, are other birds that strategically descend after these little dumb birds have been hit by the cars and carry their little corpses off. Hooray! So smart for them, I guess. Rather tragic for the starlings. We are now in more of the southern portion of British Columbia, and it's starting to look a lot to me like Washington, where my grandparents and my family are from. I remember doing one road trip north from Washington when I was a teenager, like 13 or 14, with my dad's side of the family. And it was the first time I'd ever really come to Canada. Kind of funny. British Columbia is where I end up again. Never mind the fact that I drove all the way through Yukon. Disregard that. We are on the way to, I don't remember what specific town, and even if I did, I don't think I'm going to name it for anonymity's sake, but a southern British Columbia town, so that my VR friend that I'm driving with can meet his VR friend that has been talking about, they've both been talking about wanting to meet up and haven't really been able to have the opportunity until this crazy road trip, which I am so thankful to be able to do. But we're basically in farm country right now, and blessing upon blessing, I haven't seen snow in a while. The first, I'd say 4 days in Canada were rough because I cannot regulate body heat like a normal human, I swear. So when everyone else just gets to walk around with like a light jacket on, I have to have like winter clothes on. So when my friend was walking around with his admittedly thicker jacket, I was in a winter beanie. I don't remember what they're called, but I call them neck tubes. It's basically just like a scarf thing. I knit myself, by the way. As many layers as I could manage, and I still had super cold hands and super cold feet. It's not fun. We got the fire, thankfully. Once I told him about this, he's like, okay, well, let's just get a bonfire going last night. So even though we were in more southern British Columbia, it was still getting rather chilly at night. And I've been sitting by the fire, or wherever, if there isn't an actual fire, every evening, and I've been knitting what I am going to refer to from now on, I think, as my Trans-Canada campfire blanket. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the name of it. But basically, what I did was grab about 3 balls of fancier yarn that I've been hoarding because I have a yarn hoarding problem. And once I crossed into the Yukon that first night, I started knitting a blanket. And it's not based off of a pattern. It's just for those of you who care to know anything about knitting or already know anything about knitting, I started off with about 110 stitches with bulky yarn and started a border. I actually planned ahead this time, just using my basic knitting knowledge up here, and did about 10 rows of knit stitch, and once I reached row 10, switched over to doing about about 10 stitches of knit stitch, and then going to garter stitch, which is just that you knit across the entire front and back of the piece, because there's, in knitting a wrong side and a right side. Okay, for those of you who don't care, I'll cut that short. But my general plan is to stop at local yarn stores across Canada as I go. Once I start running low on the yarn that I brought, like I said, I brought 3 balls, all from Alaska, hand-dyed wool yarn in very pretty colors, purples, blues, greens, browns, very, very much Alaskan. So I felt like it was an appropriate start. And I've got about, I'd say, 20 or 30 rows of this blanket done. Every night I've been attempting to sit by the fire and at least knit 1 row, but once I get knitting, of course, I kind of zen out and just keep going. It's a nice little campfire thing. I also brought along a couple of other projects that I'm doing for my dad and for my stepmother as well. But this blanket is definitely a little selfish project of mine. I think it's going to be really cool, honestly. I just realized I hadn't actually posted much information or even mentioned anything about that or documented it at all. Maybe if there's any interest, or just because this is my video and I feel like it, or my updates and I feel like it, I will start recording some of my progress, because it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. If I can, I would like to find yarns that have represented the trip thus far, as far as the landscape goes, because I think it would be great, having started with more Alaskan colored yarn. I think it would be really fitting. So we're about to stop for the night. We've done more driving today than we plan on doing tomorrow, so tomorrow can be kind of a leisurely thing. But we're going to stop at, I think it's called 100 Mile House, and try to find a campsite around that area. So there's this weird thing in Canada, at least in this stretch of British Columbia, where there's the town, I think it's town names, are named like 90 Mile House or 100 Mile House, which makes no sense to me, but I'm sure there's some historic precedent there as to why the heck they decided to name them, first off, in miles, because hello, kilometers, I guess, and also, why is it house? So maybe at some point, if I'm feeling particularly bored, I'll look that up, but for now, nah. Anyway, once I get back to civilization, now that I've gotten a Canadian SIM card and we should have better Wi-Fi access either way, I'm going to upload a whole bunch of these videos, because I have been doing some of them. It's just, as I predicted, rather sporadic, whenever the heck I feel like it. So anyway, that's pretty much it. If you've stuck with me this long, I don't understand why, but thanks and peace.